Hola, boys and girls. Sandy completely forgot about last night. That's all right. No problem. Is there anyone else out there tonight? We shall see. Look at that. We got already have the same number of people we had last night tonight. So we'll give them a few more minutes. We just kicked off. It's right at 8 o'clock. Thank you for those of you who have joined so far. We'll give them a couple minutes to get going. I need to come up with a way to have like a waiting room or something to get in to see if folks can start chatting or whatever before I go live. I feel kind of weird just kind of sitting here waiting to click the button to go on at 8. But while we're waiting, thank you, Sandy, for tuning in. That's okay if you missed last night. Again, we're still trying this out. I imagine there's bound to be a time that I'll come up with that more people will be able to attend and participate. Especially, I think my biggest deal is not having it at a set time. I think Sunday nights work out really well for me. So I'm thinking if I can do between 8 and 9 on Sunday nights and have it every other week or maybe even every week if they're that popular that more people will tune in. But I'm just gonna start doing them and if we get on a set schedule, then maybe more people will tune in. So that's all right. So where are you going? Where are you going tomorrow? Oh, well, that sounds like a nice, enjoyable. Hopefully the weather's nice. And you, hi, Clara. Thanks for tuning in again. This it seems like we did this only yesterday, Clara. Thanks for tuning in again. I know, right? Yeah, I was kind of expecting something a little less exotic, but that is a heck of a vacation, and I'm sure that packing for that, or maybe you only need like a backpack or something like that, since you're just going to spend time on the beach drinking Mai Tais and not having, oh my goodness, 14 hours on a plane. My traveling days are long over. I used to travel for work when I worked for Microsoft, and do not miss air travel at all. Recently, talk about that later. My trip from hell. Vacation I took to visit in-laws in upstate New York, and that was perhaps the worst vacation travel experience in my entire life, and that's saying something. So, all right, we'll give it a couple more minutes. 2 minutes into it. Again, thank you, Sandy and Claire, for chiming in. Hopefully, get a few more people. Oh, look at that! We've already doubled the number of people. Thank you very much for those of you who just chimed in. Everybody, hello, thank you for tuning in. Was it the location of the in-laws? The location was fantastic. We were at Blue Mountain Lake in New York, which is absolutely gorgeous, postcard-esque. I had no complaints about the visual aspect of the stay, but yeah, I'll just say for right now, we'll get talking into it later if we have time, but catching COVID on that trip was the highlight of the trip to upstate New York. If that gives you a glimpse into how unbelievably miserable that trip was. But yeah, Sandy, 14 hours. Oh my goodness. I hope you got a lot of books. Or I'm assuming that air travel these days, at least international air travel, you have a lot more entertainment options on the plane, videos and such. I have not taken an international flight in probably over a decade, so couldn't tell you on that one. So. But all right, go ahead, 4 minutes in, and we'll go ahead and get started. Hoping to sleep at least for right. That sounds glorious. I don't know if I can. Again, back on the international travel, I don't know if the seats are comfortable or you can recline, maybe a first or business class. But yeah, sleeping on a plane, I snore, so I'm sure people if lie flat, very nice. Yes, I've been in first class once on a trip to Europe and having the completely reclining chairs. That's nice. But yeah, I snore. I'd imagine whoever sat next to me would probably kick me or punch me or throw me in the aisle or something like that if I was snoring for 7 hours on an international flight. But all right. So, hey, thanks again. This will be another attempt at scheduling a live stream with Tug. Our kind of a chat on our talking timeshares. There's only so many videos I can produce on a regular basis, and I just like these more as they're more freeform, and then I can chat and share opinions and especially interact with the crowd. And answer questions and such. But there's just so many timeshare topics that get covered. I mean, it's challenging for me to even pick because the forums are so popular and there's so many people and so many different topics going on. It's a challenge just to pick the four to list in the newsletter. every single week. So there's so many things that I would like to say and chat with and express that I'm sure other people would like to hear and or chime in and talk about. So we'll try to have these more frequently. Again, I'm shooting for every other week. We can do a video one week and then maybe a live stream next week and then a video after that to get the stuff out. There's just a virtually unlimited number of things we can talk about and make these videos. And that time sharing content seems to be fairly one-sided on the internet. There are some other folks like Jeremy that produce some fantastic content for owners out there. But when you search stuff on the internet, it's almost always vast majority of it is promotional stuff for upfront fee companies and exit companies, and it's just kind of depressing to say the least. So as we get started, the first thing we want to talk about, speaking of where's I don't know, Jeremy, it seems like he was traveling. So he mentioned that he was on the West Coast. So maybe again Sunday night, maybe he's some more football or enjoying his vacation. So it didn't sound like he was at home, but no problem. I'm gonna to run through this and we'll publish it and people can watch it later. And if we can set this time, maybe 8:30, be a little bit better. I was struggling to get my kids in bed and get out here to do this on Sunday night. Everybody's got school tomorrow, but I'm thinking that Sunday nights are pretty low key. And although I would be competing with Monday Night Football and the Manning brothers and such like that are now dominating that space, but we'll see what we can do. So first order of business, first thing I want to talk about, though, we got someone else chiming in. Thank you so much for attending. I'm very humbled that you guys are choosing to stare at this mug for 45 minutes or so while I chit chat about timeshares, but I am greatly appreciative that you guys take the time out of your otherwise busy personal schedule to chime in and listen to me ramble on about timeshare topics. And without further ado, the first one everyone's been talking about, and I've just gotten more emails this week about that and phone calls. And it's the announced or potential announced increase for Marriott, Westin, and Sheraton maintenance fees. Seeing those numbers in the 15% range, some in the 20% range, that is just absolutely mind blowing. And I can't say that it was unexpected in the fact that we've just seen price increases, at least here in the States. Just in case anyone happens to be an international, just the cost of everything from eggs to gas to bread to milk, it just seems to have skyrocketed over the past couple of years. And last year we didn't see a huge increase. At least I don't recall anyone mentioning double-digit increases in maintenance fees. But how much is the Marriott maintenance fee system-wide? It was almost across the board. I saw someone spoke the Trust Point increase was 14.9% for 2024. So we'll call it 15. And I will say that the Marriott stuff was the proposed increase, although it did seem that the chatter was that in most cases the quote unquote proposed increases, unless something amazing happened between now and the end of the year, would eventually turn into the actual increase. But the Westin Aventura's increase was 22%, I think is what it was, something staggering. Something similar for the Sheraton flex points and just almost all in that Vistana, Sheraton, Westin, Marriott system. I mean, you're looking at 14.9% was the smallest report I saw from the owners in that huge thread. And then just that just people's jaws just got to be on the floor. Mine certainly was, and I'd imagine that as we mentioned when we chatted about it a little bit last night, most people aren't going to see that through the tug form. There are hundreds of people that will see that, especially when I mentioned it in the newsletter. But the vast majority of Marriott owners and Westin owners and Sheraton owners are going to see that December or January when the bills come in, and they look at the 15% on something that Westin maintenance fees. We're not talking about, Marriott maintenance fees. That's not something in the $600, $700, $800 range. Most people, especially the trust points, I think, what do they say, the 3,000 trust point cost or something like that with the increase was slowly approaching $3,000 to $4,000 or something like that. That's not a small chunk of change, and that's not a small increase. That's just something, especially again, when you look at the world as it is now post COVID and the price increases of everything, you can't really sit back and say I had no idea that was coming, but it still doesn't. Ice cold water is still ice cold, and when you see that, it definitely is going to take many people's breath away in seeing that staggering increase, especially if that is as we anticipated. If that's something we see across the board, we're just seeing it now in the Westin, Marriott, Sheraton realm as people are reporting that. But I can't imagine that. I can't imagine that other systems, the Hyatts and the Hiltons and stuff, aren't going to follow suit, or at least they're they might not be that high at the 15% or 20% range. But if that is what Marriott is seeing, I can't fathom that Hyatts or Hiltons or Diamonds or Wyndhams are in better financial shape, let's say, than Marriott's are, in terms of whether it's pushing delinquencies or just the cost of running a resort, whether the cost of employees or maintenance. No, absolutely. Marriott fees are certainly on the higher end in terms of your average cost. When I think ARDA produces their annual summary that shows the average maintenance fee is what, $1,200, I think is what it was, 1190 something. And I would say that the average Marriott maintenance fee is higher than that. But I think across the board, you kind of, the percentage of increase in terms of, if you saw 4 or 5%, 5 to 10%, that would be on the high range in most years across the board. Not just Marriott's, but to see 15 to 17 to 20%, and that's it's just, man, that is a lot, and it's going to hit a lot of people in the pocketbook. And again, as someone made a great point on the forums, is at what point does it no longer become fiscally viable? People buy timeshares and pay those maintenance fees because it's cheaper to do that than to rent through Airbnb or to rent, stay in a hotel or something like that. When you're approaching, 2, 3, and if this continues a couple more years, maybe $4,000 a year for a trust point ownership, is the value still there? It's certainly approaching, that gap is narrowing. Obviously people that buy that, are expecting to stay in Marriott level comfort, expecting Marriott level resorts, but just spending that much is, you're absolutely right. Hotels are going through the roof as well. It's certainly gone are the days of, the $99 a night hotels. And so, everything has gone up across the board. But, when you see that, and especially in a household where, let's be honest, wages have not kept up with inflation. So in looking at the, budgeting for your family household, and when you see a 20% increase in something like that, and I would imagine that I don't see any signs of that slowing in 2024. Meaning, I don't think we're turning a corner that all of a sudden things are going to plateau and prices are going to stabilize. It just kind of seems it's just slowly ramping up and getting higher and higher. So hard to spend less than $200 per night at a decent room. I agree completely, and that's why it's become so popular. Vacation rentals, in terms of Airbnb and VRBO, staying in someone's home is $200 a night. That's $1,400 for a week. That's higher than the average maintenance fees. Obviously, it's lower than the Marriott maintenance fee. But at what point does a maintenance fee rising to $3,000, $3,500, $4,000 a year? In the case of kind of an average ownership, that's not something it probably could give you 2 or 3 vacations a year if you planned it out right. But you're expecting a week's ownership to be worth that in terms of maintenance fees. At some point, you're going to that gap is just shrinking, and some people you're going to find a lot more people that don't see the value in paying that much per year compared to other forms of vacation that are out there on the internet right now. So we'll continue to monitor this closely, seeing what the Marriott and see if this stuff does come to fruition. Although I don't think anyone has any qualms that that's suddenly going to be cut in half at the last minute. So these are likely to be the final numbers, if not something extremely close. And I'm genuinely curious to see what the rest of the major developers come in at. If they're touting that it's all going to be across similar. If the Wyndham goes up 12% and Hyatt goes up 14%, so on and so forth. That's just got to be a tough place for many owners who. We see it on a daily basis. People who maybe haven't gone in quite some time and have been thinking about selling, and the fees constantly go up every year anyway. Even though it's usually by a very very small amount. When you see something like this, people that are already on the borderline of questioning wanting to own their timeshares, or maybe just haven't sold because of the resale market and because of the vast depreciation involved there. and what they would lose, or the difficulty in trying to sell. I just think when you see increases like that, it's going to magnify the number of people who in a normal year are looking to exit their timeshare. And putting those people in the shark infested waters of the timeshare resale industry, not maybe so much Marriott owners, but timeshare owners in general. I mean, what if the Holiday Inn Club or Diamond Resorts or something like that shows a similar increase, and you just have a giant chunk of people who all of a sudden, okay, well, it's time to get out of my timeshare, and then discover that something like that is difficult to give away, much less impossible to actually sell for any amount of money. And it just creates more victims on the resale side. And I'm sure that the exit cancellation companies and the upfront pre-resale companies are probably licking their chops at seeing these maintenance fee increases, because it just plays right into their pitch. That's constant. That for years, you see the commercials and you see the ads where these companies are preying to your fears, telling you, hey, your maintenance fees continue to go up, and hey, look, they just went up 20% last year. What happens next year when that goes up to 25? These pitches just write themselves, and it just makes it easier and easier to scam people out of even more money. So extremely disappointing to read that, and to see those increases. I would fully expect them to be similar across all the major developers, and we'll certainly continue to monitor that as folks start reporting their 2024 maintenance fees coming in. The next option I think talk about is the Welk Hyatt name change. Man, this one really kind of just threw me for a loop. I thought, at the beginning of the year, one of the more popular videos we produced was the whole spaghetti string connection of all the mergers and acquisitions in the industry. With and Welk and Hyatt didn't seem to be an abnormal one. Just two systems, but they were two very, very different systems, and it seemed that they had a naming convention set up for both of them to allow a very, very significant distinction between the Hyatt Residence Club, which was the actual Hyatt ownership, and then I think they called it Hyatt Platinum Points, or originally called it Hyatt Platinum Points for the Welk side. And Welk was admittedly a lower tier. I think most people would agree that not that Welk was bad, but Hyatt was sitting here, and then Welk was a tier below that. So they certainly weren't a one-to-one comparison. You certainly wouldn't think that they were on par with each other, identical, in so to speak. And to see that now, I was going through, and someone sent me an email about Coconut Plantation, which is one of the resorts there, and talking about the name, and it led me down this rabbit hole of even the Hyatt website has the names all confused. But it appears that now, for those that haven't looked at, is now it's Hyatt Vacation Club and Hyatt Vacation Club, meaning they have literally changed Hyatt Residence Club, which was the original Hyatt Timeshare program, points program, to now called Hyatt Vacation Club. And the Welk Points program, which was originally the Welk, which was originally, I think they called it Hyatt Platinum Points, is now called Hyatt Vacation Club. So you have two completely separate systems that absolutely have nothing to do with each other. No links, no cross points, no nothing, that are both named Hyatt Vacation Club. That is absolutely. They didn't even add, /Welk or /Hyatt to the end of it. I think I did just so I could keep it straight in my head on some of the posts. But I would like to see the person who, one, thought up that plan, thought that was a good idea, and two, what executive saw that played out and thought that was a great idea. Maybe I'm going to look like a fool down the road when that somehow someone smarter than me comes up with a way to merge the Hyatt Residence Club, and Hyatt Vacation Club now, and the Welk system, so that they're all just a nice, happy, joy ball of points that people can use. I just can't fathom how that is going to do anything but cause problems for owners going to presentations. Meaning, you can go to a Welk resort, or you can go to and stay and be sit to a timeshare sales presentation. Yeah, I agree. The Hilton and the Diamond thing was just a little. At least the names are different for the Hilton and the Diamond thing, but it causes so much confusion on not only existing owners, because oh man, I heard they bought Welk. I heard they merged. Does this mean and so on and so forth? And it doesn't. So that's just that functionality doesn't exist. Meaning, Hyatt owners certainly can. There's a way to get Welk resorts, but it's just a kind of a mess for lack of a better term. But to see the two systems, and if you were to go as a new an owner on a promo going to a Welk resort, now a Hyatt Vacation Club resort, and you would be sold quote unquote Welk points, but you would be sold by the salesman. You're buying into Hyatt Vacation Club, and you're thinking, oh, I need a Hyatt systems. I can stay at Hyatt resorts. But in actuality, you're buying these old Welk points just because the name change. And I think salespeople just absolutely are just licking their chops at this. And maybe it was a salesperson that came up with it. Hey, if we use these same names, it's so easy for us to sell these, even though we're not actually selling Hyatt Residence Club points, which people think they're buying because they're the same names. We can play fast and loose with our terminology that we use in the sales pitches, and just exploit people who don't know any better. I mean, I was confused, I can't fathom what an average timeshare owner could expect, and it's difficult for people to navigate timeshare systems in the best of times, even if they were on top or knew about this going in ahead of time. And for myself to be confused, and especially on the thread on the forums, there were other people that were confused as well. And finally getting a decent explanation from Scoop Kona. Thank you very much for providing that for us. Even when you get it explained, to in layman's terms, so that you can understand it, it's still confusing, and you still have to scratch your head at how someone could possibly have thought this was a good idea for anything other than nefarious purposes, to deliberately cause confusion in the sales room, so that you can, now it's much easier for you to sell quote unquote Hyatt points, even though you're really selling in the Welk system. And again, I'll be happy to eat my hat. Should there be some announcement down the road that now somehow they've managed to merge and integrate the Hyatt and Welk system, so it truly is one system. And if that's the case, hats off to you. I think that's what everyone kind of expected or wanted to happen. I just don't think anyone knows how to do that, because how do you merge two systems without pissing off the owners in one or the other? Meaning, if you make them all 1-to-1, then the Hyatt owners are going to be mad that Welk owners, are now we're given a 1-to-1 basis, and vice versa. Welk owners probably think that that they are on par or nicer than Hyatt owners, and they obviously want their system to, or what they currently own to trade well in the Hyatt system. But just like as you mentioned before, the Hilton and the Diamond, you have a Hilton system which is arguably a tier better than Diamond. How do you merge those? How do you combine those systems? And without obviously completely alienating all of the Hilton owners and or making Diamond points essentially worthless. I fully expect these integrations. There's the Marriott Vistana, and then the Hilton and Diamond, and now the Hyatt and Welk, and whatever you want to call it, to be more integrated as they go further in the future. I don't think many of these companies expected to purchase these systems and maintain the complete separate brand. I mean, you could see that Hilton clearly is rebranding all of these resorts. From the Welk name is being physically removed from these resorts, and they're being renamed to Hyatt Vacation Club. So it is clear that they're making an effort to consolidate. But if it's just doing a name only, and these two systems are going to remain completely separate, that's just mind blowing to me, and that's just adds an extra layer of complexity and confusion that I have to think is deliberate, and I can't see any other legitimate explanation for it unless there's a plan to merge them. But no, I feel absolutely horrible for anyone who goes on a promo tour at a Welk resort and is quote unquote sold, Hyatt Vacation Club points, thinking they're buying into what was Hyatt Residence Club, and instead they're buying Welk points, which they're going to be really, really mad when they go first time to use those quote unquote Welk points to try and reserve Hyatt in Key West or Coconut Plantation or something like that, and they're going to realize that, well, that's not what you bought into. You don't have the ability to do that, that's just unnecessarily confusing. If it was accidental, it's stupid. And it should have been caught. If it's deliberate, I really hope there's a valid reason other than the ones we're coming up with off the top of our heads. Sandy, Worldmark and Wyndham tried, but the lawsuit kept them apart. Yeah, I agree completely. It's you see Worldmark by Wyndham, which I guess is as close as they got to changing the names, and those two systems still remain separate to this day, and it's you can book cross clubs, but yeah, but in essence, Wyndham The rule of thumb is if you want to go to Wyndham Resorts, buy Wyndham points. If you want to stay in WorldMark Resorts, buy WorldMark points. The ability to cross book across those platforms is never really works out for the other owner, meaning Wyndham trying to book into WorldMark, you tend to just cost you. It's more convoluted and costs more than if you just owned in WorldMark and vice versa. So, you would think that after, how long ago is I don't even remember when the WorldMark and Wyndham thing tried the merger attempted long ago. It's been a decade, or if not longer. You would think that these new systems, I can maybe see 10 years. Yeah, I can maybe see the Marriott and Vistana staying separate, because those are just two just gigantic systems that are just so fundamentally different. And especially since they have the Abound program, which is the glue that's holding that system together, and maybe they can continue to tweak that while maintaining the two separate brands. But it just doesn't seem like that's the case in the Hyatt and Welk situation. It doesn't seem like that there is that nebulous cloud that is going to act as the exchange or way for Hyatt people to book into Welk Resorts and Welk people to book into Hyatt Resorts. Hopefully they prove me wrong. I truly, for both Hyatt and Welk owners' sakes, hope that they're able to do that. But as it stands now, that's a real head scratcher to me, and I'm again something I'll be trying to keep up with as far as I can go. Picked up a small WorldMark just to get around the problem, but only really one for bonus time. Yeah, I tell people that all the time. People ask, you see the names and they're very similar. You would think that owning Wyndham would give you access to WorldMark, since Wyndham owns WorldMark. But I've always given the advice that hey, if WorldMark appeals to you, you need to buy a WorldMark contract, and if Wyndham appeals to you, you can pick up a Wyndham contract. Especially given you can have them for free on the resale market, so there's really no downside to that. And there are people that buy both. When you have the knowledge of the resale market, what you're spending on both of those is pennies on the dollar for what you would pay for either of them. Buying new on the resale market. So having that flexibility and being able to use that in either system is a great boon. But yeah. I kind of expected, at least I was kind of hoping, when these bombshell integrations and mergers were announced with the Hilton and the Diamond and the Marriott and the Vistana and Welk and Hyatt and so on and so forth, that they would all kind of start creating these super systems that would allow easily for one side to trade into the other. To essentially the way it's pitched is that, hey, I as a Marriott owner, I'm going to have easy access to all these Vistana resorts. It sounds fantastic. It sounds amazing. I, as a Diamond owner, as a Hilton owner, will now have access to all these wonderful Diamond resorts without having to buy into the Diamond system. And yeah, it's just kind of like the same pitch you're told when you buy a timeshare, that you buy into RCI, you can trade for anything anywhere in the world, no problem. That's what the beauty of exchanges. And yeah, while you technically can, it just doesn't seem to be as intuitive or simple or as free flowing and easy as it's made out to be. And I guess we can thank marketing for that. So moving on to topic 4. The last video we produced last week is what happens if you stop paying for your timeshare. Easily the most popular video we've had to date. We got more views, more comments, more emails, more phone calls. Man, the feedback and the response and the attraction that we've gotten from producing that video has been mind blowing. And I truly I look back 10 years ago when 15 years ago when the exit industry really didn't exist. Cancellation companies, the timeshare relief at the time, didn't really exist, and it was just taboo to default on your timeshare. It was really just kind of not something you really talked about, not something you would even consider, because just the fear of your credit being destroyed and or being foreclosed upon and judgments happening and so on and so forth. It's just kind of the stigma that was surrounding that, and it's been proven time and time again. And then just full disclosure, I'm not telling people to, and I'm not advising people to default on your timeshare. But now in today's situation, that is a very real option. Defaulting on your timeshare is becoming, it's always an option. It's always available to anyone, but it is becoming more and more a viable option, because there just aren't any others. You can't, there are timeshares out there you cannot sell. You can't give away. And then the resorts don't offer a default program or will continue to refuse owners who contact them and request to work something out to try and find an exit solution, even if it's one that takes over more than a single year. But to tell them that no, your only option is to sell it. Well, I can't sell it. I've tried to sell it. I've tried to give it away. I've tried to give it away and offer to pay closing costs. I've tried to give it away and prepay maintenance fees. At some point, you're stuck with defaulting, which sucks, and paying for the timeshare for the rest of your life, which also sucks. I get the point, and then I think everyone understands the obligation of signing a contract and buying an ownership, and that is quote unquote for life. But it also comes with the assumption that you would have a solution to exit your timeshare, meaning there's got to be a way to eventually get out of that. And when the resort provides you with nothing, and the resale market provides you with nothing, and then I'll freely admit that there are timeshares on Tug that are listed that people just can't sell. It's not so much that the timeshare would never have a buyer, but there are just so many people looking to exit that even for $1, even offering it up for free, there's so many on eBay, there's so many on Tug that the one or two people or the handful of people that know about the resale market and want to pick those up, you're at a 10% chance that they're going to pick yours because there are so many other ones available that they can pick. And if they happen to want the week that you don't have, or they happen to want a different ownership, a different floating period or something like that, even if the buyers exist, which they do, so these timeshares do get sold, but when there's 50 listings available on the resale market through across all the platforms, and you have 10 people that are looking to buy or 5 people that are looking to buy, that's 45 people that aren't going to be able to sell that year, and then go on, there's 40 people the next year that won't be able to sell. So it is a very realistic problem that owners face, and telling people to default, again, it's not something I'll ever do, but explaining the actual ramifications for defaulting. And in many states, it's not as damaging as many people expect it to be. And you have to be frank with yourself. You have to understand, and you shouldn't simply go off an unfounded fear or unsubstantiated fear that defaulting on your timeshare is going to ruin your life, and thus you're ruining your own life by continuing to pay these maintenance fees for something you can't use, can't give away, can't give back. So our advice is always to try to work with the resort repeatedly, not just asking once. Repeatedly work with the resort to try and surrender your timeshare. Repeatedly try and offer it up for free and paying closing costs. But there comes a point in everyone's life where you are forced to, you have two really bad decisions to make: either stop paying for your timeshare or continuing to pay for your timeshare for something you don't use or can't use or no longer want. And in many cases, the best option of those two really crappy options is the default option. And it's super important to note that is the preferred strategy, and that is the bread and butter of the timeshare exit industry. These companies that guarantee, and just foreshadowing, this will be our next video, is quote unquote, I guarantee I can get you out of your timeshare. And why that pitch is so successful, because it resonates with every timeshare owner who is struggling to get out of their timeshare. When you hear on the radio or you hear on TV someone saying that I guarantee I can get you out of your timeshare, or I guarantee money back guarantee, guarantee. All of these pitches are explaining how there is no problem if you engage these companies to exit a timeshare. We know how to do it, we can do it, and we guarantee we can do it. And the reason they can do that is because part of the strategy is default. The default is the only guaranteed exit strategy in the industry today. And these exit companies have exploited the fact that default is not the death sentence to your credit or not the death sentence to your financial health that many people feel that it is in today and age. And there are many cases where you don't have any repercussions at all. And again, I'm trying to reinforce that I'm not suggesting this, that you can just default with no ramifications, because again, you took out a loan or you took out a maintenance fee, and they have every right to try and recover that if you just stop paying. But again, forced with put between a rock and a hard place, and defaulting is something you need to at least address. And so it's no reason that anyone should make these decisions without knowing full well the possibilities of what can happen to them, as well as the possible ramifications. But it's just extremely important to know that all of these guaranteed exit solutions and cancellation companies and so on and so forth rely on default as their main strategy for guaranteeing your exit of your timeshare. And most people just don't realize that, because again, It's wrapped up in clever marketing. It's super easy for me to tell you that. I mean, the pitch of me saying, "Hey, I got a guaranteed strategy. You can exit your timeshare. I promise. I mean, it's no question about it. I can get you out of your timeshare, no problem whatsoever." You hear that and you're excited. You're happy. You're likely to give me any amount of money I want, and within reason, obviously. Especially if I, only wanted to charge you $100 or something cheap. I guarantee you can get out. And you're like, "Oh man, that's fantastic." And then I tell you, stop paying. That's ridiculous. I mean, that's someone you'd be pissed. People. But the fact that it's dressed up as, "Hey, now that you've engaged my company to help you get out of your timeshare, I need you to stop all communication with the resort," or some of them say, "Hey, forward all the communication you get, whether it's emails or letters, forward all that to us. And if they try to contact you or they try to reach out to you, just let them know that you've engaged, Brian's now taking over my timeshare. So you need to send all this stuff to him. You need to talk to him. He's now taking care of me. He now represents me." And so what do you think happens when you stop ignoring things like maintenance fee bills and reminder letters or late payment notices or collections notices, and you're forwarding them all to me, and all I'm doing is throwing them in the trash. So eventually you're unintentionally defaulting on your timeshare, and guess what? Your timeshare's done. I've gotten you out of your timeshare. You default for long enough, they will foreclose. You're no longer the owner. Congratulations. Aren't you happy that you used XYZ cancellation service to guarantee? I did what I said I was going to do. I got you out of your timeshare. I just didn't tell you that it was going to be through a very manipulative and possibly damaging to your credit and or financial health strategy to do that. And so you can see how marketing in this industry is perhaps this industry is I say it all the time. It's masterful at parting owners and parting its customers from money using deliberately deceptive marketing pitches. And it's I'm sure there are other companies that are very similar in that. You go look at Big Tobacco or some other ones that just use clever marketing to do nefarious things. But this industry, at least since I've been involved, has absolutely been the most fascinatingly deceptive, deliberately deceptive. For a company like Tug and myself that rely on telling people the truth, it's very, very difficult when people come to us or when we see it on the internet and they tell us, they regurgitate the pitch they got. Then they're telling us that, "Hey, this company guarantees they can get me out, but you're telling me that I got a default, or you're telling me that I got to pony up next year's maintenance fees to try and, why would I bother dealing with all that nonsense when I can just pay this company, $4,000 and I guarantee they can get me out of their timeshare?" And it's a frustrating dynamic, and it is 100% going to be the next video that we come out, and the title is going to be, "I guarantee I can get you out of your timeshare," and it's going to cover just basically what we all talked about. And I'm hoping that it gets a similar reaction that we got to the stopping payment video, because in my opinion, this is the biggest problem with the industry today, is the exit and cancellation companies, and the fact that the industry itself does not provide exit solutions for the majority of its owners. And I'll give Wyndham all the kudos in the world is offering, still offering the free exit program and thumbs up. But it absolutely amazes me that so many Wyndham owners still utilize these exit companies. They don't even know that Wyndham certified exit exists. They don't know they can give that back. And I don't particularly think that's Wyndham's fault, because again, at some point you have to put some responsibility on yourself as an owner to do the research, to either find Tug or find something on there that gives you the actual facts you need to make the decision. And Wyndham doesn't hide their exit program, but as being one of the only one I can think of off the top of my head, I guess Marriott has one as well, but they don't really advertise that one either. But Wyndham has for a very, very long time offered certified exit as a free way to give back an unwanted Wyndham timeshare. But I can come up with on both hands systems that don't, and especially with independent resorts that their strategy seems to be just to to scare owners and or nope, you got to keep paying. It's really your only solution. Sorry, you're an owner for life, even though you're 85 years old and in a wheelchair and you can't physically come visit the resort anymore. I'm sorry, you need to keep paying. That sucks. That's not a solution that I've always said for the longest time. If a resort can't accept a week back or an interval back, and have a solution to either rent that out or monetize that or do something. They won't even take back their own weeks for free, even if it's on a limited basis. Obviously, you can't take everything back, but to provide some sort of solution for owners who have reached the end of their vacation travel lifetime, to not provide that, that resort just doesn't need to exist. Something is, if you can't get your own product for free and monetize that, then there's something very, very wrong at that resort. And I realize that, that's, painting with a pretty broad brush there, but it's just so common in the industry and it's so prevalent. And I mean, it's not just there are so many owners out there that don't own in Marriotts and don't own in Vistanas and don't own in Wyndhams, that own independent resorts or small resorts that just don't have any real options, especially once they get to the point where it's not that they just don't want to own. And then I understand the difference between, my timeshare, I bought it a few years ago. I don't use it. I made a mistake. I just want to get rid of it. That is a whole separate category of people versus, I'm 75 years old. My husband's passed on. My kids don't do that. I haven't visited the resort in 10 years, but I've been a happy paying owner for 30. And I've reached out to the resort and I'm getting out of that. I hate those messages. I absolutely wish I could sit down with either the homeowners association or the manager of the resort or something and get an explanation for why you can't help that person who is a happy owner at your resort for so long, who is unable to sell, unable to give away, and unable to give back. I would happily tell someone like that to stop paying at that resort if that was truly their situation and they were getting absolutely no help from the resort. And I hear it all the time. I never intentionally, tell people that, hey, default is the strategy you're probably going to have to take, but, explain to them that it is a real option for you and you need to decide at some point, paying for the rest of your life for something you can't use versus defaulting. Those are just two terrible options. And an owner shouldn't ever be put in that position. It's my opinion that those should never be the only two options for a timeshare owner. And unfortunately, it's becoming more and more common that those are the only two options for a timeshare owner in trying to find that. Because while I love Tug and Tug has been very successful over the years in rehoming timeshares and especially focusing on free timeshares and giving them away, Tug is a very, very small slice of the industry and relying on just us or eBay to be the rehoming market and the industry's been happy to do that and happy to not do anything on their own to implement that a solution there. You're just going to see more and more defaults as things move forward, and I just really hate the trend of this, and it just seems to be ever increasing. Whereas driving more and more people into these exit companies scams that you just see them. There's just so many out there. You can't throw a rock on the internet without coming up on some sort of ad to quote unquote guarantee exiting your timeshare. Free source of weeks for them, not even and for systems of points, you're absolutely right. Point systems. That's why Marriott's and Hilton's are I don't know that they have ever turned down someone who's offering their points back. But those situations and those companies, those people are really in a situation where you don't need to give away Marriott points. You can usually get at least a couple shekels for them. Diamond is a different situation. Hilton, Holiday and Vacation Clubs is another situation where there's so many rights are stripped to the resale buyer that it just makes it worthless. No one wants to buy that. It's people that are stuck in those situations where they don't realize that they were never told that when they bought. It's something that's unsellable. I use Diamond as an example all the time that, a DRI resale is almost unsellable because of the restrictions that they place on the resale buyer. And for whatever reason, they don't let resale buyers give their ownerships back, which is asinine to me. It's not like Diamond is going to use that to book, and so the fact that you will charge your own owners $1,500 or $1,700 to give back a Diamond resort, but you won't even allow your resale buyers to give those back is just, again, we could go on that tangent for a while. But look out for next week. We will have that video of I guarantee I can get you out of your timeshare. We're going to talk about this whole thing in that video and hopefully add a little more creative flair to it. Hilton resale is one of the least restrictive. Absolutely. Hilton is a great example of points that you can buy on the resale market that are treated almost exactly like developer points. There's just almost virtually no differentiation between that. And Elite Marriott's another example where, yes, it does strip off some of the rights until you buy them back. but even the cost of buying back into or cleaning up your dirty Marriott points, and then re-enrolling them into the trust, re-enrolling them into Abound, so to speak, or is still cheaper than buying new. And so at least you have that option. But yeah, it's just there's just so many different flavors, and it's just super frustrating for people who aren't in those situations or own at resorts that just aren't sellable, have no resale value, and have no exit option from the resort to offer them any help. So. Item number 4, Club Wyndham Fact. I wanted to give a huge shout out to Hitchhiker. Thank you so much. He spent a ton of time creating Club Wyndham Fact right there on frequently asked questions on the Tug Wyndham forum. It's fantastic. It's laid out great. It's a super awesome resource for any Wyndham owner. I put it in the newsletter recently, and I hope that will serve as a fantastic resource that we can continue to update and maintain for anyone interested in buying in Club Wyndham or any Club Wyndham owner to get that information, because while that information, there's nothing mind-blowing or unique on the Tug website there, but the fact that it's organized and clearly a very clear and easy to navigate fashion and easy to view fashion, instead of going through hunting and pecking through Wyndham's website to find these individual important facts that Wyndham owners really need to know. So huge kudos to him. As a moderator, again, they're unpaid volunteers, so please give them your thanks and reach out if you happen to be a Wyndham owner and you happen to read his fact or use that. Please give him credits up and kudos for that, because it's really an impressive undertaking when someone who owns in a system and understands the value of information giving to other Wyndham owners to improve their timeshare, their ability to use their Wyndham timeshares is really something truly unique on Tug, and I just wanted to give him all the credit in the world, and I hopefully that any Wyndham owners that see that will do the same. And so next item, 21 million saved. Man, I will keep harping on this ever. The number one, the most impressive statistic we keep track of on Tug, that for me personally, I go to sleep perfectly content every night and happy with what I do, is $21 million in confirmed rescissions of new timeshares by owners who found Tug in time to cancel, and found the resale market, discovered they paid way too much for a new developer purchase, and were able to cancel that and get a refund. And I know there's plenty of other numbers out there from other companies that claim wildly inflated numbers of how much they've canceled or how much this and that and the other, but the fact that all of this was completely free, didn't cost a dime, and people found this themselves, meaning these people found Tug after buying a timeshare, realized they made a mistake based off the information on Tug, discovered the resale market, and actually able to send in that and get a refund. And whether they bought another timeshare or not doesn't really matter. The fact that they are now not unhappy owners finding out that they made that mistake too late, which many members of Tug are. I think that at least half the people on Tug, bought their timeshare retail and didn't find Tug until it was too late to cancel. But the fact that we're reaching so many people on a monthly basis that they're just typing in, "Hey, I just bought a timeshare," or "Hey, I just bought this," or "Help with my new timeshare," or something, and finding the Tug forums and realizing that, hey, I just spent 20 grand on something that I could have bought on eBay for $1 or bought on Tug for $1. And they're able to find the information they need, find that information in the sales contractor on Tug of where to mail that cancellation form, and actually confirm 21 million and counting. We do a couple 100,000 a month, I think, is looking through that. But that statistic alone is the one I'm most proud of. It's great if they listen, but we always get a few that know better. You're absolutely right. I will say that I see that on a regular basis, that some of the Facebook groups are worse than others, where a person is convinced that that retail timeshare purchase was the best for them, and their resale was just a stupid choice, and whatever. The industry will constantly use those people as a source of income. But I think the average timeshare, I believe those people as well, had they found that out before they bought and before, I think some people just can't admit they're wrong publicly. It's just not something that people, are just wired in that fashion. Can't possibly believe that they were duped or they made a mistake or they possibly spent too much money on something. that they could have gotten, or just don't believe it's the same thing. Don't believe that. How could someone? I get that all the time. How can someone? How can this person just have sold me something for 20 grand that you're telling me that that's the same thing on your site for $1? It's ridiculous. You're out of your mind. We get that on a daily basis. Unfortunately, when that revelation comes true, it's usually too late. But the fact that we're still out there, we provide the forums completely free for owners. People are finding those older rescissions. That's always my favorite, is when someone finds an older cancellation thread or an older rescission thread for the resort that they bought at. And they're like, holy smokes, I literally just bought this last night, or me and my husband bought this a couple days ago. I can't believe, I'm so glad I found you. I mean, that right there, that'll make my day. If I saw one of those every day, I would be content. And Tug could exist for the rest of its life, just saving one person a day. I'm hoping we do more given the traffic on the forums. And, there are a lot of people just won't admit that. Or won't post about it, and sometimes they'll send us private emails. But Tug in itself does save timeshare owners and give them the information they need to make sound and informed decisions, and hopefully avoid a very expensive mistake. It's always better if make a conscious developed person. If that's I always post that if you have days to rescind, you have a lifetime to repurchase. You're absolutely right. That's my answer as well. I always tell people that, hey, you're not rescinding to cancel the purchase. You're rescinding to do your research. And if you decide that purchase was what you want and is exactly what you need, you can always go back to that salesperson, or just call them up. I'm sure they gave you a card and say, hey, I canceled that. I'd like to buy it again. And I guarantee you that salesman will make that happen for you. I promise you, there is not a timeshare salesman on the planet who, if they got a phone call from a previous customer that wanted to buy again, would not make that happen. So the rescission period is to give you time to do the research that you didn't do before you bought in the first place. I don't know of anybody who's ever done that. That there's anyone who's ever actually done the research and then, hey, I'm just going to go ahead and make that developer purchase. But hey, our goal is not to tell you what to do. The goal on Tug is to inform you of the reality of the situation and let you make your own decisions. And we hope that you get that information when you have the option to rescind versus after, and then that option is taken away from you, and thus you're stuck with that. So Tug helped me navigate the complexity of my own ownership and how to get the most out of it. And that also makes me extremely happy. Timeshares do not come with an instruction manual. You might be able to navigate certain websites. You might be able to nitpick some information here and there, but to have a forum with thousands of owners in your system that are willing and able to give you the answers to those complex questions on how to maximize your ownership, or how to use it, or what does this term mean, or what is this, how does this exactly work, and to offer that free of charge 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That is the backbone of why Tug started, and as long as I'm around, which hopefully will be a very, very long time, I will always provide the forums free and open to the public to allow that transfer of knowledge from owner to owner to continue for anyone who needs it. And no one will ever have to pay to register and get that information on the forums. They will never say no. You're absolutely right. There's not, a salesman, I'd probably make a salesman's day to get a phone call from a previous, someone who sat through a tour and didn't sign or rescinded to buy again. I can't imagine it's ever happened, but it's possible. But it is important that, many salesmen will use that this is a one-time only deal, or, hey, my manager just told me these points just got turned in, so I can offer them to you for 40% less than my previous offer, which was, a staggeringly high amount. All to build up that anticipation and that feeling at the sales presentation that you need to sign right here and now. Otherwise, you walking away from this deal is a mistake. And that is something that all sales folks reinforce. And it's part of their strategy to make, they need you to sign right then and there, because if you go back, or if you have to talk to it with your spouse, or if you go look online, the chances of you completing that sale drop dramatically. And the chances of you completing that sale, if you find Tug, probably drop to zero. Sometimes it happens when the PIC week's in place. NBC Points just picked up a week in Costa Rica. Nice. I also love it. Absolute favorites when someone rescinds a new developer contract and then finds that same timeshare on Tug and buys it from another Tug member who had it listed in the marketplace or had it listed in the free bargain deal section on the forum. That sort of how to come up with a creative, a perfect circle. We'll call it the circle of timeshare life or something like that. Maybe I can get the Lion King soundtrack or something like that. When literally someone finds Tug to cancel their new cancel their new timeshare, goes to the marketplace, goes to the free section, sees an existing Tug member who is offering that same thing for free. I'll give it to you. The exact same thing you were just going to plop down 20 grand for. And that transaction completes. And now we have the exiting of an old timeshare owner off Tug, who might have stayed there for a while, or maybe their only goal was to sell their timeshare, so they were perfectly happy. And now we have a new owner who is now thankful for the Tug community because it saved them 20 grand. They were able to buy the exact same thing on the resale market from another owner, and now they get to stick around and learn how to use it from other owners exist on the site. And just by and large, I will make the claim that owners who find Tug are happier and more satisfied and are better equipped, better able to use their timeshares than those that don't. Obviously the growth of Facebook pages and other places to get timeshare information has grown tremendously over the past 15 years. At least it's hard to believe I've been doing this for, when did it start? 2006. Man, that's a long time. It's almost an entire career when I took over from my father. But we've seen that, and I love it. The fact that people can get the information in more locations. It still baffles me that more people don't find that whole don't buy resale thing in the resale market until it's too late with the information just in so many places. But it is what it is. The fact that there's so many owners out there sharing the wealth of information is it's there. So there's for people to claim that they couldn't find that information, it's very, very, very troubling that someone didn't. I personally couldn't fathom signing a $20,000 contract to buy something without doing some research first. But again, going back to our comment, this industry is nothing if not masterful at parting owners from money. Deceptive sales tactics and deceptive, misleading statements to encourage or to convince you to sign right then and there, and before you have time to go do your research is it's how this industry is founded in terms of their sales. So let's see. I see some Tug members and owner timeshares still hang out on Tug because of the community. Absolutely. There are people that have been around longer than me, which blows my mind. It's the nature of the beast that we have lost a number of older members to tragic. Obviously, everyone dies eventually. But for this to have been going on so long, and Tug started in the early 90s, some of these, you're talking 30 years. That's a long run for a community, and you're bound to lose some. But the fact that people will still stay because of the connections they made, and because they got so much help and so much advice from friendly people who are offering it completely free. They're just willing to share the information that they gleaned from other Tug members. There's been generation after generation of people who will come in as complete timeshare novices and get that help from other owners, and then they're willing to share that to another person who comes in months or years later, asking that same question that person had years ago, because it resonates with them. I was in that spot. That was me 2 years ago, knowing absolutely nothing, and these people spent post after post after post, explaining this to me so that I can understand it. And I've had so many happy family vacations because of it. I want to pay that back. I want to have that feeling of transferring that knowledge to someone else because someone did that for me. It's just a nice little slice of humanity in this world of people just being good and sharing just a little bit, passing on that little bit of generosity, and passing on that little bit of kindness that someone else showed them in the past on to another person, and that's existed for 30 years. It's really, really quite incredible, and something that I'm truly proud of. I found your dad in 1997. I was born in 1975, so that's when I found him. I've been pretty happy with him, and I will say that I am absolutely proud that I was able to take this over from my father and continue to maintain Tug and to continue to provide this place that at its bare essence was giving people information about timeshares. And then when he started this in the 90s, Google didn't exist. You couldn't just Google the stuff that you do now. You couldn't just type into the internet. Most people didn't even have a home computer at that time, and so just having that information at your fingertips now, and just the amount of traffic that we get on the forums, the amount of traffic that we get in the marketplace, and then the success that we have in owners. I think the statistic that we looked up is almost half the people that join Tug do so to sell their timeshare. Almost 50% of the people that join are looking to sell the timeshare, or looking to get rid of the timeshare, whether it's giving it away or not. And then that means the other 50% are timeshare owners who found it to get help, to learn how to best use their timeshare, maybe rent it out or something like that. So the fact that we have existed and the Tug has existed for so long, doing the same thing against the entire tsunami of the industry, because everything else in the industry, bar a couple other websites out there that are providing similar messages to Tug, are telling exactly the opposite. The timeshare, either the developer side, which quietly accepts Tug because they what we're telling them is exact opposite of what they're pitching in terms of the timeshare industry. And then you have the exit and the resale, the upfront fee companies, and so on and like that also quietly accept Tug because that they're anti-industry, but obviously anyone who finds Tug is not going to do business with them either, because we expose you're exposing the marketing horse crap, for lack of a better term, on both sides. But the last thing any of them want to do is get into a public debate to have that exposed. And so it is a difficult path to follow, but we're certainly willing to continue to do it, and I'm very, very thankful for every person that finds Tug and gets the help that they need, and we hope that that continues for as long as I'm around. Tug owners are happier owners. You're absolutely right. I 100% believe that to the bottom of my heart, that and that anyone who finds Tug, any timeshare owner who finds Tug, is going to be happier that they did so. Now, conversely, many owners that find Tug discover that their timeshare is now worthless, that they paid for, and so that's kind of a fly in the ointment for many owners. So it's hard to for some of them to see that that's a positive, and it's not, but it is a positive in the fact that at least versus finding another website that told you that you could sell your timeshare for more than you paid for it, or it's worth now more than you paid for it a long time ago, and just pass me over a couple $100, and then I'll be happy to guarantee I can get you out of your timeshare. That's that exists, and unfortunately, I don't like to admit it, but the chances of an owner finding that message are greater than them finding Tug. The ones that do are very, very lucky, and the fact that they can find that information and see just tens of thousands of other owners who can reinforce that message versus just listening to me say it, or listening to me try and preach one particular message that seems to go against the industry. But when you see such an active forum and an active community of so many other owners that are also not only reinforcing that message, but proving why that's the case, and proving why, showing you eBay and showing you the Tug marketplace and the free giveaway section to back up their facts, whereas you just don't get that through the other pitches. The pitch has to be perfect and engaging, and telling you what you want to hear in order for you to part with that money. And then once you've already given the money, then it doesn't really matter what happens after that. And much like buying a timeshare, you only have a few short days to cancel, and much like engaging in an exit or upfront free resale company, getting your money back after you've discovered that what you were sold is not what you bought is difficult at best, if not impossible. And so I will always affirm and always believe that someone finding Tug is a happier owner, is going to benefit from the knowledge that they find on Tug. It may be a cold splash of water on their face, but it is going to give them the truth. And in many cases, some people need to hear that, and then some people are accepting of that, and some people not so much. I will say that I've had phone calls and emails where just people have just not reacted to my comments very well, and feel that I'm full of crap or similar. And unfortunately, usually after a very expensive reality check, after they've gone with the pitch that sounded much better than mine, and they realize that they just threw away another couple hundred or a couple $1,000s, those people will eventually come back to Tug and realize that the the truth that we are providing is the actual truth versus the marketing truth. So that's it. Those are the things I wanted to cover. Other than a shout out to I'm truly the other option. I didn't really want to cover it too much, but the disaster that's going on in Maui is heartbreaking, and I hope that people who visit that on a regular basis, or if you have family or friends there's so many links have been posted on the forums for ways to donate. You don't have to. I know a number of, like Hilton was offering donating points, but there are other links posted to just different. There's so many people that need help, and there's all the common, the Red Crosses and such that gets the notoriety and get the publicity for donating stuff like that. But there are a ton of links on the forums available for much smaller ways. They're much smaller venues, and it just equally as important in providing relief. But should you choose to go on there are plenty of options you can do versus just becoming a number donation in a very, very large pool, which again, it's super important as well. But if you wish to check out some of those other ones, and you feel you want to help out those people in a really ugly time of need, we'll continue to update that thread and give more options so that people can give a little something, even if it's a couple bucks. Every little bit helps, especially when you're that's just an absolutely horrible situation that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. And reading that is very, very sobering. One good news today, they published a list of people, and 100 of them reported in safety. That is fantastic. I did not read that. And thank you so much for that's awesome. The missing count just and actually the death, it just seemed those numbers kept climbing. I'm glad they found 100 people that were on that list and come back. I did have a friend that lived in that area, and thankfully his property was spared, but it just wasn't the case for many of his friends. And it's his stories of just entire families wiped out, and if not the families, the lives themselves, but everything they owned, it just completely gone. And I realized that insurance might make you whole again, but I can't wrap my mind around coming home to everything you own being gone. How do you recover from that? How do you make yourself whole? I mean, that's just not a weeks or months. It's almost a years, if not ever, process to 70 employees lost their homes. I saw was it Hyatt said there were 481 of their employees that were impacted by that, whether it was completely lost their home or lost access to it because of roads being closed or such like that. But not just the people that were killed by the virus, but just the absolute staggering number of people who are impacted by this. And I mean, it's like your entire town is just gone. The infrastructure will take months, if not years, to recover, and that's trying to rebuild all those homes, and on a state like Hawaii where everything has to be shipped in, from nails to glue to tile and stuff like that because the stuff's not produced there. I can't even fathom how you would rebuild a city in the United States like that in months, if not years, much less something on Hawaii. And so my heart truly goes out for them. And I'm happy to provide publicity for those links for those people who visit Maui on a regular basis and visit Lahaina on a basis. And I might be actually just absolutely murdering the name of that city. When you visit that and you own there, it just kind of hits a little closer. So we have a ton of people that were impacted that just in vacation travelers that you visit that community long enough, and especially the employees at your resort that I might want to give a little bit back. So going to that pretty much covers everything I wanted to do. We're already an hour and 8 in. Wow, that hour went quick. And thank you again for those of you that stayed up and chatted along with me. I'm happy to. I know Clara said she had a question for me. I offered that last night, and she was put on the spot, and so she didn't have one prepared. I think she has one for me as well, or if anyone else, there look like there are 5 left on. If you have any questions, I'm happy to do my best to answer them. I'm going to take a sip of water here because I'm trying to keep chatting. Save it for next time. It's okay, Claire. I mean, unless it's a big one. I appreciate it, Sandy. Thank you so much for engaging. That's honestly, it's my favorite part is when people, not a pressing question. And if you don't want it, you can ask me privately. Send me an email. I gave it to you last night. I certainly like the back and forth, and I'd like to get it at one point. Maybe I don't know how comfortable people would be with being on video. Maybe having like a collaborative or have other people. I've participated in Zoom calls though, and that's kind of it's kind of organized chaos. So I'm not sure how well that would play out in terms of a free for all for everyone. It's a lot of businesses. My wife is during COVID, she transitioned to work from home, and they just haven't gone back. And it's just her day is just one giant Zoom meeting, or I think they use Teams but either way, it's just one giant meeting of all I see is just a dozen faces on her screen all day. I'd love to expand this, and I'd love to see hundreds of people online listening to me jibber jabber and or asking questions or commenting, so that we can get this going. I'd like to do this on a regular basis, so I'll schedule this. So we'll do it another 2 weeks. Sunday we'll try 8:30 on Sunday, and I'll post it up there. And if we can get Sunday night, we'll come up with a fancy name for it. Sunday night chit chat with Tug or something like that. So I don't really want to compete with Monday Night Football, but it's our Sunday Night Football. But we'll get it sorted out. I really appreciate those of you who chimed in. Thank you again. You guys always humble me with the fact that anyone is willing to give up an hour of their time to listen to me. Thank you, Sandy. Thanks, Tara. And thank you for the other people who will remain nameless since you haven't chimed in. But I'll give you one last chance. Anything else anybody wants to mention or talk about? Otherwise, I will bid you all a fair adieu. And hopefully I will see you and more of you Sunday after next. And I don't know what date that is off the top of my head, but September, second week of September. And we will have hopefully more items to talk about, especially our latest video or the next video, which will be, again, guarantee I can get you out of your timeshare. So thank you very much, Clara. Thank you very much. Good night, Sandy. Thank you very much. Again, good night. And you guys have a wonderful evening. Thank you very much for tuning in to tonight's episode of Talking Timeshares. Timeshare Industry. Thanks for watching.